Welcome to Tiny Show and Tell Us, the bonus series where you write in with your favorite science news or factoid, we read your email aloud, and then dive deeper. I'm Sam Jones, and I'm here with my co-host, Deboki Chakravarti.
Hi, Sam. I am very excited. Last time we got to talk about killer whales wearing salmon hats.
Oh, yeah.
We also heard from a listener about her grandmother's work as a pharmacist.
I loved that.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, it inspired her to study protein-protein interactions. So yeah, we really love getting to hear from all of you.
Yeah.
And before we kick things off today, a huge thank you to Tien Nguyen for doing the research for this episode. And also, just a reminder to all of you that we need emails from you. So please let us know the things that have been really cool to you. Send us an email at tinymatters@acs.org or fill out the form linked in the episode description, and maybe we'll get to read it out loud and talk about it.
I love that.
Yeah. So, Sam, do you wanna get us started?
Absolutely. Okay, so my Tiny Show and Tell Us today is from listener Jade. And Jade wrote in saying, with all the chaos around medical practice and insurance in the news, I find the focus on the suggestion of implementing time limits for anesthesia use very interesting. I think in general, the job of an anesthesiologist is overlooked and underplayed. And in actuality, they play a vital role in the operating room. I also found this article about it, written recently in light of the insurance stuff. And it's a Science News article. Okay, thank you, Jade, for writing in.
Sam, before you get started, people probably don't realize this about us because we never talk about it on the podcast, but you and I are both Real Housewives fanatics. And
yes.
Listening to this, immediately my mind goes to Real Housewives of Miami and Larsa telling Nicole, like, who's this Real Housewife who is also an anesthesiologist, super intelligent and everything. And Larsa Pippen, in her moment, decides to tell her that she doesn't really do anything. She just puts people to sleep. And it's a pretty great moment.
I completely forgot about that. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for Nicole, who unfortunately it seems like is not coming back for the next season of Real Housewives of Miami. But yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's because she's probably got more things to do. Like, she's got to get some people to sleep.
Right. And yes, she does have more things to do. And as we will discuss, she does a lot more than just put people to sleep. Sorry, Larsa.
Yep.
Okay. So Jade linked to a Science News article that was titled, "Proposed Time Limits on Anesthesia May Have Jeopardized Patient Safety." Before we get into that, I want to just talk about anesthesia. What is it? Why is it used? And yes, it is in part used to put people to sleep. So, of course, the goal of anesthesia is to keep you from feeling pain. And it can be used in different forms and in different surgeries. So sometimes you're just getting local anesthesia where the area around whatever is being removed is completely numb. So this would be things like skin biopsies or maybe stitches. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a couple biopsies and it's been like a really small, like a mole or something like that. And they use local anesthesia so they can remove it and it's not super painful. So love that local anesthesia.
Yeah.
Then you have regional anesthesia, which really just covers a bigger area. Epidurals in childbirth are an example of regional anesthesia, which makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, you have general anesthesia, where you are essentially put to sleep. You are knocked out cold. And it's typically during a much larger surgery. Although I did get general anesthesia for my wisdom teeth, which I know not all people do, I guess. I don't know, but
I was out for mine.
I was glad I was out, to be honest.
Totally. It was very trippy to wake up and be like, oh, I fell asleep and now I'm awake.
Yeah. No, my family likes to joke that because I'm a highly organized type A human being, and I actually left the appointment. I have no recollection of any of this. I went up to the front desk. I scheduled a follow-up appointment. I'm like 19. I scheduled a follow-up appointment, like put it in a calendar, and then got in the car. And 12 hours later, I'm home. I wake up from like my stupor. I'm like, I remember nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I just went into delivery mode immediately.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyways, general anesthesia. So with general anesthesia, anesthesiologists, who are medical doctors specializing in anesthesia, they're paying close attention to a number of things like your blood pressure, breathing, heart rate. Like, they are monitoring all of this during a surgery. If you have an underlying health condition like asthma or diabetes, they're aware of it ahead of time. And they're maybe paying attention to additional factors during their monitoring because of that. And they're also, of course, they're speaking with your surgeon or whatever doctor is in charge of your care. But also before a surgery, they typically, and that's been my experience as well, they will come and talk with you and sort of ask you about, double check on anything. Like I'm someone who, like I had general anesthesia once and I naturally have like pretty low blood pressure and it makes me kind of nervous because I'm at like a higher risk of passing out. And I just, when you think about being put under and then you already have low blood pressure, I don't know. I wasn't sure how it would work. I was really anxious. I talked to the anesthesiologist about it and he was like, so awesome.
Yeah.
Walked me through it and was like, I've got this drug ready and this drug ready and this drug ready if something happens. So anyways, it made me feel better.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something everyone loves, their favorite topic, insurance. So there are currently no limits. And I'm saying this is within the United States. I actually don't know how this is covered in other countries. There are currently no limits on anesthesia coverage in the United States. Earlier this year, there was at least one insurance company that was saying they were going to impose some limits starting in February, but then they ended up reversing those plans. But of course, then it led to this big conversation, some of which was covered in the Science News story that Jade sent, which included a Q&A with two anesthesiologists who talked about a number of things, including how every surgery is different. Every person is different, meaning every surgery is different. It is not always possible to predict exact timelines. I mean, you would love to say, hey, this surgery is only going to take 3 hours. Right. But how many times does someone go in for surgery and then they realize there's this additional thing we need to do, or they're maybe not responding to the anesthesia in the way that we thought? So like someone could have an allergic reaction to it. That happens. Or maybe someone has way more scar tissue in an area that's being worked on than the doctors realized because they couldn't see it in all the scans as well as they thought they could. And so that could make a surgery last longer. So there is this concern that putting time limits on anesthesiologists could mean that a surgery has to be rushed.
Right.
It needs to move more quickly than it would naturally. And that, of course, impacts patient safety. So at this point, right now, as we were recording this, this isn't going to come out for a little bit, but this is end of March 2025.
Yeah.
There are no limits in terms of anesthesiology coverage in the United States, time-wise. And hopefully that will remain the case because it really seems like there have been some opposing opinions to that because of overbilling to insurance companies.
Yeah.
But as someone on the patient side of things, I just want to make sure my surgery is not rushed if I have to go through it. So thank you, Jade, for writing in. I actually heard about all this stuff in the news, but I hadn't really looked into it. So it was interesting diving a little bit deeper and then thinking about the implications more.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that would be terrible if they're like, well, your anesthesia's up. Can't do that anymore.
Right. Like we're going to have to schedule a second surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense.
Right. Well, I have something from listener Emma who says, hi, I am currently on a research trip in Puerto Rico, and last night we went kayaking in a bioluminescent bay.
Ooh.
When you disturb the water, the bioluminescent plankton light up. The oxygen they get when the water moves against them gives them the energy needed to glow. The purpose of this is to attract the predators of their predators, i.e. a small fish comes to eat them and they light up, attracting a bigger fish to eat the smaller fish. I'm really excited to talk about this because bioluminescent plankton are like super pretty. We actually
Beautiful.
I worked on an episode of Journey to the Microcosmos about them, and there's like a little bit of that I want to talk about because there's like some cool stories. And so like if you want to see what they look like under the microscope, you can check out Journey to the Microcosmos and see.
Oh yeah, we'll link to that video for sure in the episode description.
So basically, bioluminescence is when an organism can make their own light via a chemical reaction. And bioluminescent plankton are an organism called dinoflagellates. And so they use a molecule called luciferin to make their light. Luciferase is an enzyme and it acts on the luciferin to make oxyluciferin in light. So the oxyluciferin is like a byproduct, but the light is like the cool thing that we get to see. And so that's kind of basically what Emma was talking about. And we don't know exactly where Emma was in Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico has at least 3 bioluminescent bays: Mosquito Bay, Laguna Grande, and La Poguera. And apparently Laguna Grande is like particularly bright. The pictures are really cool. Like it's really, really neat to see. And so there are some things to take into account if you're going to Puerto Rico and you want to see them, because, it's not always going to be the right time. The best time to go is between December and February because it's less rainy, so the water will be more clear.
Oh.
And it's also better to go on darker nights, obviously, because that will let you see more of the bioluminescence. So new moons are when you really want to go out. And so I just want to add this one more story about bioluminescent plankton that I think is really cool. In 1954, a fighter pilot named Jim Lovell, who'd later become an astronaut, he was on a training mission off the coast of Japan. And during the mission, his navigation system stopped working and it was like completely dark out. So like that's tough. Like, how do you deal with that? Except when Lovell turned off the lights in the cabin, he could actually see bioluminescence in the water below him. And I guess that apparently like helped him figure out how to get back to land or figure out where he needed to go. So I just thought that's really cool.
That is really cool. I love that. I feel like that's like it's a book, but I feel like it's also a children's book a little bit. Like, it's like, like I can just imagine the really beautiful drawings.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. I know. So I've seen bioluminescence. I'm like, my husband is from Puerto Rico. We go back to Puerto Rico all the time, but I've never seen it there because I haven't been able to get to any of those spots when you need to. But I have seen bioluminescence before. For a few summers, I worked in Woods Hole. So this is like Falmouth, Massachusetts, Cape Cod.
Yeah.
And there's bioluminescence there. Like you can just wade out into the water in the summer. And again, if it's the right conditions, it'll just really like you can drag your hand through the water and you just feel like there's like a sparkle that's following you.
Cool.
It's just so cool. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it just seems so like magical.
It is. It does feel like it's like fairy dust or something. Like something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I feel like I need to, like next time I go to Puerto Rico, I'm like, this is happening. We have to do this. But I'm trying to remember which one he went to. I've heard about the one in Fajardo. Vieques is the other one, right? The Mosquito Bay.
Yeah.
But gotta seriously add it to the list.
Yep. Thanks to Jade and Emma for submitting to Tiny Show and Tell Us, a bonus episode from Tiny Matters created by the American Chemical Society and produced by Multitude. And a big thank you to science journalist Tien Nguyen, who did the research for this episode.
You can send us an email to be featured in a future Tiny Show and Tell Us episode at tinymatters@acs.org, or you can just fill out the form that's linked in the episode description. We'll see you next time.